I wanted to ask something about Jeff said something this morning I thought was really interesting, that we should try ideally to be in control of our time and to not be in reaction mode to email and phone calls and friends asking favors and everything else. How do you control your time, or I guess protect your time from being wasted, but at the same time still protect your credibility as a good recruiter?
I don't do it the way Jeff does. I do it just about the opposite. But what I do to make up for I need the interruptions. And I try to set it up so that the interruptions are things I need to be doing anyway, the same way he does, money calls and all that kind of stuff. I just try to make sure I've got a good mix of that.
I've worked hard at being a phenomenal multitasker. I have a child, I have 2 businesses. I'm like a lunatic. So my whole day is reactionary often. But I think that you have to decide what's important and what's not. And before you pick up the call, you have to say, is this going to make me money, or is somebody going to die, or is somebody sick? You have to make really smart decisions and know how to prioritize.
The biggest thing that's made a difference for me in recruiting is to figure out, okay, this is a waste of time. And I know that because I've done it 150 times already and failed. So I think I'm going to go over here where I'm going to succeed. And you have to teach yourself, but discipline yourself initially to learn the difference.
Hi, I am working a couple of search assignments at a level which the candidates seem to have this expectation that I'm going to be flying into their city to meet with them. And they're very disappointed when they hear that's not going to happen. So I'm wondering, how much face time do you get with your candidates and with your clients, and how important do you believe that to be?
Good.
That's probably a bigger problem for you than it is for me. None of my clients and candidates want to see me anyway, so it's all over the phone and computer, and I don't really ever see that.
I work a local market, and I stopped meeting my candidates a long time ago. I found I did more harm by meeting them. So I just keep it on the phone or email.
I meet 80% of the people I work with. I'll only fly somewhere if somebody's paying for it. But I meet everybody. In my space, in corporate communications and in HR, you have to know who you're dealing with, and it's just, they represent the company. So for me, it's a different process.
I've been doing this for about 10 years, and I don't think I've met any of my candidates or hiring managers.
Yeah.
Zero. It's all over the phone.
There's a recruiter or a company out there that is looking for quick candidates, willing to pay 15%. And I wonder if you guys are seeing that as a sort of a degradation of the profession and the fees.
At the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about these people that are going to be charging 15%, and you just have to provide a service and a level of service that they can appreciate paying you more.
I just think that if you entertain anything lower than 30%, you're really hurting all of us. And that's why I would never do it.
All right, and I was just going to say I'm really hurting all of us then, because I used to worry about, hearing about the 15%ers and stuff like that, and I just don't waste time worrying about it anymore. And I know that there's a certain contingent of people in this room and other people who are really good at what they do that sell 30% and sell it really well. But I do almost every placement that I make at 25%. But I don't negotiate at all.
In some of these very small markets that we're in, very niche markets, I'm on Wall Street, everybody knows everybody. So even though I've got signed fee agreements and blind resumes and all these things, I can breathe on somebody's name and they're like, I know him. I play golf with him. I'm calling him. I'm talking to him anyway. That seems to have gotten worse in the last few years. Do any of you all have that problem, and how are you addressing it?
Why don't you start with the client and have a conversation with the client prior and say to the client, this is how I work. This is my value proposition. You're going to bump into people, and I'm going to bump into people that we both know, because that's our business. But I'm going to tell you and enlighten you as to why you should or should not be seeing the candidates that I'm representing to you. And maybe you need to kind of go back to your business model and say, Do I need to change my how I represent my clients, how I represent my candidates, and what do I charge?
I think this one's really more or less a question for each one of you. I mean, aside from being selective in the clients as well as the job requisitions that you do take on, what's the biggest piece of advice for everyone in this room that you can give to really accelerate your performance and your billings, and what's kind of like that action plan that you yourself implement and drive?
I think the most important thing you can do, and you're in complete control of this one, is choose who you work with. Choose who you work with and stay on the phone long enough to get a good company, a good client, because there's a million of them out there that really want you and need you and want to, work with you.
Pay attention to the stuff that other people tell you works and figure out which pieces of it are going to work for you.
I would say focus on what you do best, and to really pay attention to what it is that you do best and focus on those things. I would definitely say to really prioritize according to what's going to make me happiest, what's going to make me the most money.
Stop wishful thinking. When I'm training new recruiters, it is the biggest flaw that I see in new recruiters is they wishful think placements.